Hello and welcome into another episode of the Father, Son, and the Holy Buckeye podcast. I am your host, Sean. With me, as always, is the Father himself, Rob Simzak. Dad, how are we feeling today?
Dude, I got my caffeinated 50 miles in bike ride. Pep to talk ball. So
Oh,
let's
good.
go.
You got your bike ride in early today?
Yeah, it's starting to hot up here, so everything's going to be done
Yeah.
early.
Well, great to hear. I think we can just dive right into today's episode. It's definitely a little bit more Ohio State centric than our last episode. For our main topic today, we'll be discussing our favorite Ohio State wins from the past 20 years or so. But before we get into that, I wanted to touch on some uniform updates from the past week. As I'm sure all of Buckeye Nation saw, we brought back the Heritage Stripe, or as it's called now, the Buckeye Stripe. We got our full lineup. We have the All Blacks, core home, core away, and our all whites. I don't think there's a single Ohio State fan out there that had any negative things to say about the Heritage Stripe returning, but was curious, first your initial thoughts, but also I was curious because I know we used to have the Heritage Stripe or the gray stripe, whatever you want to call it, on our uniforms full time, and they changed it, I don't know, like 2005, 2006 to that black stripe. And I was just curious if you remember that at all, if you remember what the motivation was behind changing it and how that was received by Ohio State fans back in the day.
I'm laughing because I didn't know. I didn't know stripes were such a big deal. So I'm glad that they're back. And I, I'm going to go on the record. I don't hate the All Blacks, but just as a uniform choice, whether you're Cincinnati or Missouri or OP State, I just don't love them. I like the all whites, and maybe it's because I remember Braxton Miller running crazy in Ann Arbor and in all white. But I like the all whites better than I do the all blacks. So it's good to have the stripes back. I don't know that I knew they were gone. So maybe I'll get banned from this podcast, but there you go. Those are my
Oh,
thoughts.
good. I mean, it's a good point you made because yeah, it's weird seeing a bunch of grown men get so passionate about stripes. But yeah, I don't know.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
you might be the only Ohio State fan in the world that has not been aware of the heritage. But it also makes me nervous. Like with that, they also, and I don't know if you saw, they also announced a turf update, so we'll be able to like update the turf week to week. If we do it all, a blackout game, we could have black end zones and whatever new turf we're using, it's the same that Kansas has. And I looked at their turf because I was curious, and they have some really vibrant colors. I think it's because they're able to touch it up week to week, and the turf isn't like stapled in for years on end. So we also got that update, but it makes me nervous because I'm wondering, things are going so well for Ohio State right now. I feel like Ohio State's softening the blow for them announcing ad patches on our uniform.
Oh, that's coming, dude. That's coming. That's coming. And if it gets him to sign the next 5-star quarterback, I could give a whit. So the patches are coming. That's unavoidable. That's inevitable.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen more already. But yeah, I really liked the uniforms too. I love our black uniforms so much. I agree. I think black doesn't work out for a lot of teams, but I feel like we integrated it so well to our normal uniform, and I love the red Buckeye stickers especially. I feel like
Yeah,
that really brings it.
the scarlet pops with the red. It does. Orange. You look like
Yeah, I was
Oklahoma
gonna
State.
say I hate or Tennessee's black uniform. I don't know why. It
Yeah,
just does
happy
not.
Halloween,
Yeah,
guys. What's it? Halloween all year in Knoxville? Come on, just get out of here with that
the only
rubbish.
thing I was a little bit
So
bummed about was I guess we're not having the all gray uniforms anymore. I really liked those. The few times
those
we
are sweet.
liked them. Um,
Is that what they wore when Braxton threw the touchdown to Devin
no,
Smith
that
against
was so
Wisconsin?
that's a good transition because I wanted to talk a little bit too about some of our older alternate uniforms because I don't know if you remember from like 2009 to 2017, Ohio State had an alternate uniform almost every single year.
Dude,
We wore
yeah.
those against Michigan a couple years. Like in 2009, they were these all whites. 2010, we wore these all reds, where we wore like a red shiny helmet that looked really bad. But in 2011, Wisconsin, that was like it was like a Nike Pro Combat where we had it was a red helmet with like these gray stripes. Um,
Yes, yeah. I like that. Those were fly. If a grown man can say that.
no one's stopping you. Um, But what I really loved, I don't do you remember the chrome uniforms we wore? And that's actually the Braxton Miller 2013 Michigan game. Those are we wore the chrome helmets with the all whites. Um,
Oh yeah, oh
those might
yeah.
be my favorite uniforms we've ever worn. I love the chrome helmets at
Those
home or
those
at night, but also the away ones.
yeah, those were sweet. Those were sweet. So well, let me ask you this: what other uniforms do you like in the pantheon of college football?
There were two that really jumped out that I love. So Oregon has one. Granted, I don't generally love Oregon's uniforms. I know they were big, in the 2000s. I know a bunch of people that claim they were Oregon fans growing up, just because of their uniforms. And I think looking at a lot of their uniforms, it makes sense that a bunch of 12 and 13-year-old boys would like them just because they're kind of, I don't know, it's just something that I would imagine eighth grade boys would love, like the neon green. Um, I prefer when colleges are able to kind of maintain an identity across the uniforms and they just jump around so much. But all that being said, they have these gang green uniforms, which they wear a lot more now. It's the yellow helmet with the green O, and then the green jersey with the Oregon duck logo on the sides. And then they have yellow pants with them. They're really really clean. And for all of Oregon's, trying to look really sleek and changing, having 136 different uniform combinations. These are the closest I think they have to just kind of a really sleek generational look, like kind of like Ohio State has. That's just gonna look good no matter what decade you throw it in. So I really love those uniforms of Oregon's. I also love Ole Miss's powder blue. They have this blue helmet with the red Ole Miss script,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the white
Mm-hmm.
pants with the. I'm a sucker for baby or like powder blues. And I just love that how they have red incorporated with it too. So those two are probably my favorite non-Ohio State jerseys.
Um, well, I had Oregon as a mention. Oregon, like, look, you want to get the job, you're wearing scarlet and gray to the interview or some combination of red, white, and blue. If you wear blue and gold, the person interviewing, unless you're on the set with Michael Douglas filming Wall Street in 1989, you're not getting the job. That's a power suit thing from the 80s. It's gone. Scarlet and gray, red, white, and blue, blue and white, classic, timeless, generational. And I think Oregon does a great job. Green and yellow are not a good combination on your lawn, let alone on a uniform. So they deserve a mention because they have a number of really kind of ghastly combinations, but they have some sweet threads. They do. I'd also say I'm going to save my favorite two here for a second, but Notre Dame in some of their combos, I got to say they're
Yeah,
attractive.
I like the where they wear like the Kelly green. Is that what they call it?
I have no idea. Sometimes it's blue and green, sometimes it's green and gold. They look sometimes good, and then other times it's just like, man, did they do their wash today? But they have some pretty good uniform and blue and gold, blue, green, and gold. Not bad color combinations to be working with. Um, I'll give a shout out to Georgia because they're the closest uniforms to Ohio
I
State.
actually have Georgia on my list of jerseys I hate because I hate that they just directly copy the Packers logo. That confused me so much as a kid. And I hate their shade of red. It's just like it's aggressive. And I don't know if that's the reason all of their players decide to go, speed around on the Georgia highways and threaten the entire state of Georgia because the shade of red drives them crazy because it would if I had to stare at it. But I don't really like their uniforms.
I don't like their uniforms as much as Ohio State's because they have too much black.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't like the red and black. So sorry, Rutgers. But like you give me UNC, I like the powder blues. There you go. And I like Argyle. Classic. More. Give me more Argyle. Give me more powder blues. I like go across the road. Duke, solid. Blue and white. It's a good color combo. You mentioned Ole Miss. Ole Miss is in my top three, but also I like Florida and I like Auburn. I'm a Mets fan, so I'm a sucker for blue and orange. And Auburn again, and UVA, sort of very similar blue, orange, white, good color combination, really good. And then you got two solid ones. I don't really much like them, Penn State and Alabama, but they're not garish, they're not gauche, they're kind of classic. But I don't like the Bama. I don't like the maroon. I just don't love it as a color. The blue and white with Penn State are just a little too simple.
Yeah, I think Penn State, like, I get the attraction of having a historic uniform that's never changed, but I don't understand the love they still get. Like, I saw, I don't know who it was, if it was 24/7 Sports or or On 3, something like that. They came out recently with like a top 10 helmets, and they had Penn State. I forget if it was one or it was in the top three somewhere. And it's like, I just don't, it's a white, I was wearing the same helmet in sixth grade lacrosse.
I just don't love it. I what I will say with Penn State, it's just timeless, right? So, and they'll probably be the last team in the Big Ten to get uni patches. They probably will because they just have so much respect for that uniform, and that's why I think people like it because it just doesn't change. My two favorite, other than Ole Miss, UCLA
Mm-hmm.
powder powder blues. They should wear those home, away. I don't care. Every game. Can't get enough. And then this will probably surprise you. I'd say Arizona and
I really like
Kansas.
Kansas's.
Yeah.
The way
Yep.
they
Because
have
they
the
got the red
Jayhawk
one.
on the helmet, I really like.
Yeah, it's nice. And Arizona's red, white, and blue usually. And it's just a good, yeah, we're American, but we could be in France doing this podcast and it's red, white, and blue, man. It's just a good color combo. It works.
And
So
with UCLA, I love how when they play USC every season, they both wear their home uniforms, and that's something I really wish more teams would do. Like, as
yeah,
much as I hate Michigan's uniforms and that ugly, gaudy yellow wing they have on their helmet for because I Wolverines don't fly last time I checked, so tell me how that makes sense. But I think having Ohio State and Michigan wear their home uniforms on the same field, that would look really cool. Ohio State and Oregon wearing their home, Ohio State and UCLA, like there are so many matchups that
yeah,
would look so beautiful on the field together. And it's stupid that everyone has this rule where you have to wear white away. So I wish we saw
that's
that
just
more.
dumb. It is dumb. Yeah, you should see it more. Like UCLA should be able to wear those powder blues in every Big Ten stadium. A new rule. We're gonna take over Bill Maher's show. New rule. UCLA gets to wear their powder blues everywhere.
Do you think there are any teams that have helmet decals that compete with Ohio State's? Because that's another thing I see like every offseason at some point when things are slow, accounts will post like, oh, who does helmet decals best? And they throw in Ohio State and Michigan. I see because they put on those yellow footballs. Florida State adds the black, what is it, hammers. UNC adds some decals. There's a few other schools that do it, and I'm obviously biased. I think there isn't a school that holds a candle to Ohio State as far as
No,
decals because we are like Ohio State's helmet is amazing because of the decals. Without it, it's a pretty average helmet, and like the uniform is not complete until November when all the starters have a helmet full of Buckeyes. And are there any
yep,
helmets you think that hold a candle as
no.
far as that?
To finish your metaphor, we own the wax, we own the wicks, we own the candle factory, we own the candle distribution. There is no one else. Just stop doing it. It's silly. We got stop it. Stop it, people. The Buckeye helmet stickers rule. Everybody else's stickers drool. It's just silly. Stop it.
All right, you heard it here. I guess the only other, I don't know if there's any other uniforms that you hate you wanted to mention. The only one I needed to mention
No,
was
that's another episode. I don't want. We're 2 episodes in, and we probably have 5 people listening. I don't want to turn people off yet. So there's a whole host of uniforms I cannot stand. Doesn't mean I dislike their teams, but like I like South Carolina. I don't like their uniforms.
yeah.
So they're
The only
so
two I wanted to mention, first is Clemson. I hate their shade of orange. Like I generally don't like orange, but Tennessee I think actually can look when they're not wearing black with the orange. I think that actually looks pretty nice. Uh, Clemson's gaudy like borderline neon orange is unsightly, and I hate it. And then sometimes they mix in
can I
purple with it, and I'm like, it's hideous.
can I object? Can I
Sure.
object? I was going to mention Clemson as when God invented colors, he did not want orange and purple mix. And I actually think it's pretty good. I mean, in the class of Oregon, where you've been dealt a color hand that's hard to do anything with, I like orange. You don't. And I like the orange and purple. It actually now works for me.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Actually, fun fact, I don't know if you knew this, back in the day when Ohio State was picking their colors for uniforms, their first choice was orange and black. And they didn't do it because those were Princeton's colors. So they took their second choice, which was scarlet and gray. So shout out Princeton.
Yeah, well, another uniform I don't like, Princeton's. Don't like them. Sorry, can't make me. Yeah, you guys are all smart, going to make more money the moment you walk out of it. Yeah, but those uniforms suck.
And very last uniform I wanted to mention, Michigan State's neon green uniforms, where they have the neon Spartans splattered on the front of their jersey that doesn't even fit on the chest plate. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I'm going to start calling you like, I don't know, like you're fashion 101 for football. I think I know what you're talking about. Generally, I'm okay. Like the Eagles, green and white, green and silver.
I don't hate Michigan State's normal uniforms. It's these alternate because they have a version for basketball too that they've worn where they have neon green in there.
Yeah, I don't think I like that, but sometimes when the Eagles wear a uniform, I'm like, oh, that is just, I can't tell where the players are and the turf begins. I just can't. They're just ugly. And then there are other times like that's a good use of green and white or green and silver. And I'd say the same thing. Michigan State's uniforms are classic, like Penn State. And I like Michigan State's classic uniforms better than I like Penn State's.
Yeah, I like Michigan State's all whites, but yeah, I think 20 minutes of uniform talk is enough for two full-grown men on a Sunday.
We taught that thread count to death, so let's move on.
Cool. Well, now we can get into our main topic. Wanted to talk a little bit more of a nostalgic conversation about our favorite Ohio State wins of all time. Not the best wins, but the wins that are our favorites, resonate with us the most, still stick with us today. And honestly, the way I kind of thought about it is, when I go to throw Ohio State highlights on, if I'm eating lunch or something, the kind of my go-to games, the ones that will, because I can't imagine we are.
Wait, you only watch the highlights at lunch or what? What is that?
I don't need to disclose how often I watch Ohio State highlights. But these are definitely, if I were to pull up my YouTube account, these are probably my most recent searches right here.
Here, my all-time number one favorite Ohio State memory. And for the three people that are going to listen to this podcast, probably be left wondering what the heck I'm talking about. But it was, I believe, December 2024, the college football selection show. And you were over with your two best friends from high school. 2014, I'm sorry, yes. And you're with your two best friends from high school. And the just unbridled, unvarnished joy among the three of you, but particularly you. And then where Mike Snellen has to look at you and say, wait, are you crying? And it wasn't to make fun of you. It was just you were so freaking overjoyed. And you weren't even thinking about what was coming in a couple of weeks in Alabama. You were just so happy. It's that joy I'll remember to the day I die. I can't. If I still had that video, I would watch that video every day because it was just great. And that's my favorite number one Ohio State moment.
That's nice.
There you go.
That's why Ohio State's so important to both of us. I think it invokes some really, as unhealthy as it is sometimes, it invokes some really deep emotions. And it's, we're part of something bigger than ourselves when it comes to Ohio State. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from. It's funny, you mentioned that because that's, it's definitely up there for me. I'm going to start in kind of, I guess, chronological order. And again, we don't have to talk a lot about this game because it's arguably one of the biggest wins in Ohio State history. And it's the game that really made me a psycho Ohio State fan, but it's the 2006 Ohio State Michigan, number 1 versus number 2. It really kicked off my hate for Michigan. And I think kind of gave me a really unhealthy expectation of Ohio State too. Because I just, we won that game, and I think that Ohio State's the, greatest program of all time and will never die. And then 2 months later, we get our shit kicked in. Um,
Yep. Yep. Well, that I'll say again, I'll go back to visuals. We still have the picture in a frame from the four of us, you, me, your mom, your brother, and Zoe, the dog, on the couch, just deliriously happy after that game. And I'll remember that picture as much or more than the game. The game was great. What was it, 42-39? But it was a game, for God's sakes. Ohio State, the fumbles and the bad snaps. It should have been 56-12.
yeah.
You
But I
know,
love that Michigan fans
but
will
it's
still
for
complain about that roughing the passer call against Troy Smith.
yeah. They can all go to hell.
So yeah, I mean, there's 8 games that really stand out for me for my favorite. That's the first one, and then I'll fast forward to the end of the 2009 season, the Rose Bowl against Oregon. And this one, I don't think people quite remember that Ohio State was kind of in a tough spot between these two games because you go from the win against Michigan in 2006. And then after that, we get our shit pumped in by Florida. We go all of 2007. Our schedule's pretty easy that year. We don't have a lot of big games. We lose to Illinois. We follow that up the next week with the win against Michigan, who was not very good that year. And then we, lose to LSU. Go into 2008. Again, we lose all of our biggest games, USC, Penn State, and Texas. And then we go into 2009. Again, lose our biggest game to start the year, USC. We have that upset against Purdue. That was just embarrassing where Terrell Pryor had 5 turnovers. And we have a couple big wins that year, Penn State and Iowa. Those are 2 games that I like to relive a lot too. But again, we go into that Rose Bowl against Oregon in 2009. And the whole talk going into that game is about how slow we are. This is peak Big Ten hate talk by ESPN about how slow the conference is. The whole talk is about how Oregon is just going to run the score up on us, how overrated Terrell Pryor was. It was just, Ohio State was not in a great position. We did not, we're on a 3-year stretch now where we do not have really any big wins under our belt, or at least games, wins where we were the underdog. And that game happens. We are actually flying back from Florida on New Year's Day because we had a flight change. And I remember the flight attendant, I couldn't watch the first half of the game. And the flight attendant, because I'm decked out in Ohio State gear, is giving score updates over the loudspeaker because this is before we could access scores or watch games on the plane. And so she's giving score updates for the first half. The second half, we're watching at a bar in the airport, and then we're boarding while we're on that final or second to last drive, where Terrell Pryor hits Posey, the touchdown to go up 2 scores. And I remember, we're actively boarding during that drive, and Mom, you guys are yelling for us to come over, we're getting ready to board. And it's the 3rd and 13 where Terrell Pryor escapes, throws it up. There's our man Ballard. That's the Brett Nussberger call. But I remember that's the play. As you and Mom are yelling at me hey, we're boarding, and we hit that and we convert the 3rd down. I just remember sprinting back through the airport. That's how early in my fanhood I was. Is that I thought that locked the game up for us, and it's still a 1-possession game with 6 minutes left, so it wasn't over yet. But I just remember after that win, I watched those highlights for 3 months straight. That game meant a lot to me.
Yep. You said it well. It was peak Ohio State hate, as if we're running the 4x1 in the Olympics trials, and Ohio State's just slow and got no athletes. And it wasn't just ESPN. It was that guy Dom, whatever his name is. He's a West Coast guy for Fox Sports. It was just going to be a track meet, and Oregon was going to win. And Ohio State had 40 minutes of possession in that game.
All of Oregon's offense by himself.
Yeah, beautiful. It's on my list. It's towards the bottom of my 8 that I've selected. But yeah. Can I pick one? I'm going for similar reasons. JT Barrett. I don't even know what year.
2017. The comeback. Yeah.
Is that it? It's just, I was here in South Carolina all alone, just me and Hero. And I probably believe that's when we birthed the term Buckeye Hero. And it was grim. And I took Hero for a walk at halftime. which I never do. I mean, I was actually watching the game. Your mom was not here, so I was all alone. I believe Uncle Bubba called me at halftime because just to make sure I was alive and not inflicted permanent damage to myself. And I called him at the end of the game when JT hit Marcus Baugh for the touchdown and Gus had his call. I was dancing with Hero in my arms, and it was freaking great. And I called Bubba in tears. So that's why JT Barrett is probably my favorite Buckeye because of
Yeah,
that
I mean
game.
that's
That
on
game.
my list too.
Um,
I was fortunate enough to be in college during that game, so I was at the game, and that was like the environment in that game was it was just so crazy. It was so loud, and it was such a unique game too because like 2016 Michigan is also on my list, and I was at that game as well because I was in college, and I think those two games are very different because rush to field for both of those games. 2016 Michigan, that was such a weird feeling because the entire game, up until Curtis Samuel scores that touchdown, I'm thinking we are going to lose this game. The whole game is spent like, how are we still in this game? Oh my God, we're going to blow this. And then that just feeling of relief as Curtis Samuel crosses the plane is just such a great single moment. And then juxtapose that to Penn State. That game is so great because we're down the entire game, but at no point did I really think the game was over. It was just like we were playing well the whole game. It was just all these small things, a couple horrible calls by the refs, and it was just like we're so close. We got to be able to pull this game out. There was a moment there where I did think it was over, but it was then that rally in the fourth quarter where it was just like a tidal wave, and as soon as it started coming, you just knew like, oh, we're winning this game. I remember we scored a touchdown with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left. We kick off Penn State's first play. Sam Hubbard swallows, yeah, swallows
Sam and
Saquon and
Sammy,
Trace McSorley
baby.
in one. And as soon
Yeah,
as he made that tackle, I was like, oh, we're winning this game.
it's one of
So
my
yeah, I guess I
favorites.
kind of got 2016 Michigan in there. Love that. I assume
You
is that
did.
on your
You
list as
did.
well? Oh, really?
No, it actually wasn't. It wasn't. That the number three for me is for similar reasons. You and I go to the D-Day Museum in New Orleans with your mom. We're walking around and you know, you had to go.
You're talking
Like we're
about the
both
2020
nervous. Your mom
game
knows
against
we're.
Clemson
Oh,
for
I was,
transparency.
I was going there. I was going to let people know. I was going to, and then we're both nervous as all get out. And then we're walking to dinner. And what are you thinking? I just had to break the ice, and then we just both started jumping up and down because you said, I think we're going to truck them. And there was an expletive in front of that, and we were jumping up and down, hugging. We went in and had dinner. We were ebullient, laughing like the dam broke. We had the best seats we've ever had right next to our boy Kurt
I mean,
Fowler.
yeah, so a little
And,
context. We were one of probably 500 people that
anyway,
got to go
just
to
that
that game
game.
because you knew someone that worked for the bank. Yeah, so we got
Okay.
tickets. We walk into that game and we are right next to Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit in the like they're in their booth to our right. We walk in, we are separated by a pane of glass, and we get in there like an hour before the game. My favorite part of that is like we're in there
He was,
early and we're making noise, we're getting fired up because what else are we gonna do? And this like kid, like he looks like he's my age, has to come over, knocks on our door, walks in, and is like in kinder words, "Hey, you guys need to shut up. You're messing with the audio." Because they were,
it was my clapping. It was my clapping. I'm loud, but
yeah,
I'm
I
a
guess they were
really
doing like
loud
their audio
clap.
tests before, and they kept picking us up, and they were like, "Guys, please shut up." So that was fun.
If you Zapruder film that game and slow it down, there is a point. So all three people that are listening, go find this. There's barely audible audio of Sean going, "Fuck yes!" On one of their touchdowns. It could have been the Olave 65-yarder. It could have been that one. It could
I
have been the
think it
Jameson
was
Williams.
the throwback touchdown we had to Jeremy Ruckert or something. Because I remember we were setting up a throwback, and I saw it developing like as soon as Justin Fields started rolling out left, and I was screaming like, "Oh, throwback, throwback, touchdown, touchdown!" Like before he even throws it. And then like we do it, we score. I remember these guys that were in front of us look back like, "How the hell did you know that?" And I think that's the one that kind of got picked up on. But I love that game
Yeah.
too, like the famous Justin Fields bomb to Olave. Like watching that in the stadium,
Oh,
like we were eye level with the ball when he launched that. Like that was
yeah.
crazy. I mean, that was such a. I mean, the
Yes.
just the
It was good. Well, at the time, Clemson was our
Yeah, I mean,
Michigan because
that
Michigan was
2019
awful.
Clemson, if we had a
We
list
can
of most painful losses, that's at the top for me. I mean,
That's
that
up there.
was, um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
and
Clemson was our
it
Michigan.
was just
We
so
couldn't beat them.
cleansing too. Like,
You
this is,
know,
we're wrapping up the year 2020, which was a tough year for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. It was a shitty year. It was a weird college football season. We on the heels of that 2019 loss. And so it felt good to start off a new year, kicking in Dabo Sweeney, and just it was just rejuvenating in a lot of ways. And it was such a unique experience that
yep,
not a lot of people got to enjoy.
couldn't agree
Um,
more. Nope, all 2000 on
so
this.
I guess I can another win on my list is 2018 Michigan, Dwayne Haskins year. I just love that game because we were actually underdogs going into that game, and if we lose that game, Michigan is going to go to the Big Ten title and in all likelihood go to the college football playoff. So I love the fact that we took that away from them. That third quarter where we just pour it on them it was just so fun to be in. Again, I was in the stadium for that. I got 3 straight seasons of being able to rush the field, which I'm eternally grateful for. But that was my favorite games are blowouts where I just get to kick back my feet,
I,
and
f- I feel,
there's
I
nothing
feel you,
like
bro. I feel
watching
you.
us put 60 on Michigan in the shoe and just kicking back my feet for the whole fourth quarter, not a worry in the world, just watching us kick their shit in. Like it was so satisfying. And just
I will say that from that game, it's not one of my favorites. I mean, I don't dislike it, so don't go hating on me, listeners. But the jet sweep to Paris Q. Still, I could watch that play 100 times a day
yeah,
for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't tire of it. And the bad angles that Michigan defense take, that Don Brown Michigan's defense takes, like the jet sweep is a new play from Urban Meyer. Memo to Ryan Day: run that play a couple times
just
this
not
year,
to the
would you?
short side of the field when
So
we're outnumbered like he did against Notre Dame in 2023. Um,
yeah, no, 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 no,
But
no, no,
I have
no,
two
no.
more games on my list. I'll run through these because I have a feeling you'll have at least one of them, and then if there's any we missed from yours, we could talk about those. The one, uh, is it it might be my all-time favorite just because of the memory I have associated with it. But 2011 Wisconsin, where we upset Russell Wilson in prime time.
It's on
It's
my list. I have it as the
Yes.
whiskey
I mean,
next to
I
me.
love that game
So
because so this I we were going to games since 2007, but prior to this year, I never wanted to go to close games because or like big time games because I was petrified what would happen if Ohio State lost. I don't want to be in person for that. I don't know how I'll react. But for whatever reason, 2011 was the year I decided, no, I'm ready for a big game. And we were deciding because it was so weird when we were deciding this game. It was when we were booking the tickets. Jim Tressel was still the coach, and we were still expecting to have Terrell Pryor. We just thought they were going to have that like 5-game suspension. And so we were debating between Michigan State and Wisconsin. And I am just so eternally grateful we chose Wisconsin because the Michigan State game that year was like a 17-7 or 10-7. It was just, we lost, and it was a gross, gross game.
yeah,
So that would have been horrible. We got to this game instead. And again, like we are not a good team at this point. Wisconsin is a top 10 team just coming off of their lost to Michigan State, where Kirk Cousins beat them on a Hail Mary. And I just remember all day I'm talking to you about like, oh, so when we win, we're rushing the field, right? And you're trying to temper
yeah.
my
I didn't know if you.
expectations.
I didn't know if you
Oh yeah,
remembered that. I
I got the
didn't know
autograph
if
from
you were
Eddie George
there.
that day, and I don't know. I guess I was too young to know any better. I was just convinced that we were gonna win. We went in halftime. I forget if we were up 10-7 or down 10-7. Just remember looking at you, saying we got 30 minutes for the rest of our season, and I'm still thinking we're gonna win. Braxton has those 2 fourth quarter touchdowns. It looks like we're gonna run away with it, and then at fucking Jared Aberderis, who killed us every time we played him, has those 2 long
Yep,
touchdowns.
Darius.
And I remember the game their go ahead touchdown because we had great seats for that game. We were like at the 35-yard line, like 3
Yeah,
rows back, and he
yeah.
scores the touchdown. He runs right in front of us, and I remember like I sit down and put my head in my hands before he even reaches the end zone because I think we pushed him out of bounds. So I'm like, oh, we're not stopping them. They're going to go score a touchdown with no time left. And I'm miserable, and I get up. I'm like, oh shoot, they scored. I was like, okay, we actually have a chance. Jordan Hall has a good kick return, and then it was clear that Luke Fickell was a first time head coach because the clock management on that drive was not good. Where I remember sitting there and the clock is running. We're not using a timeout. 30 seconds is going off the clock. The whole stadium is groaning. Like, what are we doing? And then Braxton Miller rolls right, makes a man miss, throws the deep ball off his back foot to a wide open Devin Smith. And yeah, the rest is history. I know we made it close to the end because we had a couple penalties. Wisconsin had a shot at the end zone, but I remember we win and people are rushing the field, and you're hesitant to rush the field for some reason. And I just look at you,
because I'm an old man.
well, you were younger
bro.
then. This is 15 years ago now. I just remember looking at you and I
was
say,
old
I'm
man.
going. And so I just leave you. I jump off the field. I get to the middle, and Jordan Hall is right in front of me. And I jump on his back, and I'm like, I'm freaking out. And then I don't know how you found me.
No, well, we'll end this story and then we'll get to our last couple of games. But we had a habit of sitting next to or near the dumbest Ohio State fans on the planet. And there are plenty of you out there. In this case, it was a father and son, and the father was really, really nice. His son was an idiot. And you would walking into the game was the last time you said, Dad, I'm going to ask you again. When they win, can I rush the field? And that's when I finally broke down and said, Sean, they're not winning today. I finally tried to pop the bubble. We're going to get torched. I don't recall a lapse between you seeing people run the field. I recall you being one of the first people on the field. And because I was giving people in the stands high fives because we won. And then the guy in front, the father, when I look around and you're not there, and I can see you on Jordan Hall's shoulders. And he goes, your son, you must coach it. It's like biblical. And I'm like, but that wall. And he goes, I'll help you down, my friend. So I'm down. We go out there and I get you off of Jordan Hall's shoulders. Then it started very, very claustrophobic. People are cramping in on us. And I'm like, are you okay if we go? And you said, yeah. And so we left. But I'm like, you have to hold both hands. I need both hands on this hand. Don't let go. Because getting out of that crowd to get out of the stadium, that was off. And that was also the Saturday after Hurricane Sandy hit New Jersey. So we were going back to a home without power, too.
But yeah, that's just, in such a lost season, having a win like that is just, it's crazy.
It's still... Watching that touchdown pass is still Braxton to Devin.
It's a meaningless game now. Like, whether we win or lose that game has no impact on Ohio State today, but it's, oh, well.
Or no impact on them getting Urban Meyer. No impact.
The feeling in that moment, because I was convinced, oh, we're going to win out. We're going to the Rose Bowl. We're going to win the Big Ten. We're so back. And I was very wrong. But that night was so perfect. It took us like 3 hours to get back.
It was a great
to where we were staying. And I did not care. It was just on a cloud of bliss. It was so.
Well, we were staying at your aunt's house, and they were still. Yeah, they were still up
that night
because no one could sleep. Let's go. What's next on your list?
2014 Alabama. I mean, honestly, all three games from that 2014 run are up there. But I just think that Alabama game. Like, I think when we beat Alabama, I went into the Oregon game. Like, very confident that we were going to beat them. The Alabama game, I was, skeptical at best. And then we fall down 21-6, and I'm close to turning off the channel. And it was just, there are so many plays in that game, from, the reverse to, Zeke's run, the onside kick recovery, the pick six by Steve Miller. It's just such an iconic game for so many reasons. And it's just, if there's one game I could watch for the rest of my life, it's probably that one.
I don't like to quote the Myers a ton. Shelley Myers saying, ding dong, the witch is dead. Couldn't be said better. It's just a couple years before, Ohio State wasn't going to beat Oregon. This year they're going to get trucked the same way. And looky. There goes Ezekiel Elliott for 85, and no one can catch him.
I still, to this day, am wondering why, when we got the onside kickback from Alabama, Alabama has 2 timeouts, and we're able to run the clock down. If they can use the timeouts, we run the ball. Alabama gets the ball back, no timeouts left, under a minute left. And Urban Meyer runs a go ball with Evan Spencer on first down. And to
Yes.
this day, I'm
Yes.
like, if that
Yes.
was Devin Smith that they were running it with, I would get it. One-on-one coverage with Devin Smith, sure, go for the win. I don't love it, but I get it. Evan Spencer, the dude has
No.
not caught a deep ball his
No.
entire career. Like the dude does
Great,
love Evan
great
Spencer.
guy.
We don't win
Great
that
guy.
game
Great
without
wide
Evan Spencer.
receiver.
What
Love.
are we doing running a go
Yeah.
ball on first down when we just
What
have
are
to
we
run?
doing? No. And it's at that point, it's trite. I say it all the time. Ohio State's got 12 guys. They have 11 guys, and the clock's their 12th man. Just run the gosh darn ball. Make them take timeouts.
Yeah, because if we don't
The
make a couple
game is
tackles
over.
inbounds, when Alabama gets the ball back, like they got the ball back with like a minute 15 and a timeout. Like they had
Yeah,
time. We made a
and a
couple
timeout.
big time, like on
They
that
had
first
to-
set of downs, we tackle them inbounds twice. If they get out of bounds on one of them, like as it was, they got to like the 45-yard line and
They have more time than it should.
they had a time for
Yeah.
another play before they helped. Like they just Alabama mismanaged the clock really because Lane Kiffin, offensive coordinator, by the way. If they
Yes. My other favorite play, is when Lane calls, they get the shank. The one bad punt that dude had in his entire Ohio
yeah.
State career was that punt.
Von-
And then
Yep.
Von Bell has the interception, and Lane Kiffin has got his hands in the air saying a touchdown because I'm a fucking genius. And I just called the greatest play ever. Oops, that safety wasn't supposed to be there.
It's not talked enough about
Intercepted,
how
and
Lane Kiffin lost Alabama that game. If they give Derrick Henry the ball 35 times, like we could
40
not
carries,
stop him.
40
They kept,
carries, man.
like throwing the ball with Blake
No.
Sims on like second and third and short, and then we would sack him. It was
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, like so.
Thank you, Lane. Thank you.
For all the shit
Thank
you
you.
talked about Lane,
Thank you.
I actually love him because he is almost solely responsible for that national championship. So
Yep.
shout out.
Yep. I bet Derrick Henry and he don't have a
Yeah.
very warm
So what,
relationship.
Did you have other games?
So I have one more. It's the run. It's the 59-0
Okay,
Wisconsin game. Gus Johnson lost. It's a wonder he's still alive after that game. How many times he said shotgun and Cardale Jones and tried to figure out different ways to say
Cardale Jones,
So-
Cardale Jones, the whole
Yes.
state of Ohio is counting.
Yes.
Cardale Jones.
Yes. All right. So how do you want to wrap?
All right. Going into our last topic of the day, the post-game spread, where we each share something we are eating, cooking, drinking, listening to, watching, or just all around enjoying that we want to share with each other and our listeners. Dad, what are you enjoying this week?
Well, I'm going to give America and all the souls listening some help for their entertainment, some bang for their entertainment buck here. I'm going to give you 4 songs, and I'm going to give you 1 movie. The first artist and song is Steven Sanchez. Some people may know him. He did Until I Found You, whose first line was Georgia. Beautiful tenor voice. He burst onto the same thing in that. Sounded like kind of mid-career Van Morrison or someone like that. He's 21 when he recorded that. He has a new album, and the lead single off of that is called Sweet Love. And I don't care. If you don't like it, you're not alive. You don't like joyous things. It's just a great, great song. That's number 1. Then you've got another band, been around a little bit longer, I think, than Steven Sanchez, St. Paul and the Broken Bone, called Full Moon. I would argue Lake Street Dive and Steven Sanchez had a baby. And they gave you the song Full Moon. And it's a danceable, you're going to tap your foot. There have been a lot of great songs about moons, and I am not going to say this is the best, but it's a worthy one to be included in the pantheon of great moon songs. So St. Paul and the Broken Bone, Full Moon, I think a song you and I both share an affinity for, or a singer with a single that's been out for a while now, I think. Its Role Model is the artist, and the song is Sally When the Wine Runs Out, and it's a pop banger. It's just a great, great song. You should listen to it if you haven't. Stream it on your devices.
I would
now.
like to shout out Role Model because I would toot my own horn here. I found him during the pandemic when he was a little bit more emo-y, and he's definitely kind of come around and been a little bit more. They sound a little bit
Wow.
more like the 1975 now.
Sh- sh-
Um,
Shout out to Sean
Love
then.
Role
All right,
Model.
good
Oh,
job.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that song. Mom puts it on and we kind of start dancing and we dance with Hero. So it's great. And then the last song, band that's been around, is just a really solid American rock band called Mount Joy. And they have a song probably been out for a while. Like every song they release, they're kind of like Head and the Heart. Every song, and Noah Khan, every song they release off of their album, once it gets on airplay, it's a hit. And their song Lucy, I think it's reminiscent of the Mighty Mighty Boss Tone song of about 30 years ago, talking about someone going through some really hard stuff. Lucy's about it. Everyone's been touched by the evils of disease and cancer, and it's about a close friend of theirs that had cancer and passed. And I think all of us have been there, and it's just a very powerful song. Lucy's a badass. You know who I'm thinking of when I bring that song up. So
absolutely.
the next thing, last thing, and I will shut up and be out of your podcast hair is a movie, and watched it last night. I cannot say enough good things about the movie. It's kind of Ted Lasso sci-fi epic. So you take the spirit of Ted Lasso and you mesh it with a sci-fi movie, and you throw Ryan Gosling his hotness into it. Project Project Hail Mary. It is spectacular. It's a meditation. It sucks you in, but it's a meditation on friendship, loneliness, bravery, humanity, the power of science, the power of the earth, um, all of that connection. It is, and it's 2 hours and 15 minutes of pure joy. And I can't say enough good things about it. And in a time where we need just pure goodness, Project Hail Mary. Fantastic movie. It's worth the $19 to stream it or the $24 to buy. Totally worth
Yeah, I mean, I
it.
watched it
That,
in theaters, absolutely loved it. I did not know anything about the plot going in, so I was really surprised at how it kind of what the movie ended up being about. My only complaint about it, I mean, I think you hit everything on the nose about what the movie is and what it's about. My only complaint, I wish the science side was a little bit more sophisticated, and it's a small complaint, but like for example, I feel like they kind of I would have loved to see a little bit more of the science behind how they actually started building kind of the dictionary while they're translating each
oh,
other. I feel
that
like they kind of
yeah,
jumped that a little
yes,
bit.
they
I
did.
because
Yeah.
like part of the reason I love Interstellar so much is it because it does marry like the emotional side with the actual science of black holes and time dilation and everything like that. And I wish Project Hail Mary on the science side was a little bit closer to that. But to your point, the movie at its core is about love and friendship. And I think it would have been hard to dive further into the science side without taking away some of the softer, more emotional aspects of the film. So I get why they didn't. That's my only complaint. But it was you're on the nose. I think you're maybe a little late with it. I feel like maybe
Yeah.
half the country's already seen it. Um,
Probably. There you go. I didn't know Buckeye Stripes were out. So, you know, I'll catch up. I'm catching up.
sorry, you're doing okay in your right age.
All right.
um,
On that note, what are you doing?
well, I wanted to share a quick little recipe. So, as you know, when I cook, for whatever reason, I have a problem just following a single recipe. If I'm cooking something new, I generally like to look at, three or four different recipes, come up with something on my own, which I like because on the one hand, I really get to own my recipes and make it my own. But on the other hand, I usually takes me a couple attempts to really nail something if I'm cooking it for the first time. That's just something weird about my cooking habits. But this is a recipe that I made up all by myself. It's really basic, but it's become a staple whenever I cook for autumn. Make it every 2 weeks or so. I really enjoy it. It's just essentially pork and potato tacos that I make with a pork loin. But what I do, so at first I usually get the mini golden potatoes. I cut them in half, then cut them into like half moons, and I dice them really, really thin, bake them in the oven with oil seasonings, nice and basic. Cook them so they get nice and crispy, and then I'll sear the pork loin. So I drench it in seasonings so it forms kind of a skin. And you could honestly do it with any sort of pork loin you want. Like I've done it with like Asian marinades, done a more like greeny, kind of like thyme and bay leaf sort of pork loin, or just done it with like, your standard seasoning. So no real rules about how to prepare the pork loin, but definitely season it up nice and heavy so it kind of forms that skin. Sear it on both sides, and then you wrap it in foil. I put like knobs of butter on top, put in like hot honey, a splash of wine, another batch of seasonings, and I bake it in the foil. And it'll depend on the size of the loin, how long to cook it, and how long you seared it. I usually do it like 425 for 25 minutes is my general rule of thumb. Usually gets it cooked pretty perfectly. And then while that's baking, I'll throw a chopped onion in with the oil and the juices from searing the pork. And so I'll throw in the onions when it's on high heat, mix it around, and then immediately throw it on simmer. I'll add in some brown sugar and cook it on simmer for 15 to 20 minutes, just stirring occasionally so nothing burns. When the potatoes are done, I throw them in with the onions. And then when the pork is done, I add some of that juice into the pork and the potatoes, keeping it on simmer, mix it around so it absorbs the juice. I'm going to keep it simmering while I chop up the pork. And it's just the pork every single time comes out super, super tender, super, super juicy. And then I usually chop it up, put it in a bowl, throw more of the kind of butter sauce, whatever was cooking in with it, and mix it around so it kind of absorbs up some of that extra juice. And yeah, then you have your pork and your potato and onion mix. You can make pork tacos or quesadillas with it. I think it's really good with red cabbage and white cheddar, and honestly, any number of sauces you can do. So it's really basic, but I love.
That is far from basic,
Okay.
bro. That is far. That's you made me hungry.
Yeah.
And Autumn loves it. You
Yeah,
say?
yeah. Well, it started in back in college when we weren't quite dating yet. I made her. I was mentioning how I make tacos and I like to put potatoes in them, and she didn't believe that potatoes would be any good in tacos. So I made them for her, and she loved them. And that's kind of, I think, probably how this spawned. Eventually, I started making pork loin and realized they were good in tacos. Added in the potatoes, so it's been kind of a long journey to come to this recipe. But yeah, she
Well,
obviously loves it.
I am gonna forgive you one thing. If she doesn't believe tacos can be made in or potatoes and tacos are a thing, one thing I still make it occasionally, but your mom doesn't like. Not a big fan of either one of these things. But if you get a good spicy sausage like a chorizo, you could do it with almost any sausage. You boil potatoes just a little bit, not a lot, and then you cut them and um, you mash them in a fry pan. You first saute your sausage, leave the grease in there, saute the potatoes in there, and then start mashing them up. And it's a rough mash, and you're heating them up and softening them up, and then you mix the um, sausage back in, and then you put that in a taco with like some green salsa, preferably made with tomatillos or cholula or pico. That that that's that's classic Mexican taco, street taco. So another thing for you to consider to kind of, since she puts ketchup on hot dogs,
I'm sure she puts her ketchup on her hash browns too. I don't know if that's allowed in your realm.
no, that we can do that. That's different. Ketchup on potatoes is
Okay.
allowed. All right. And on that note, before she disowns me,
Yeah, no, I think that'll wrap up for this episode of the Father, Son, and the Holy Buckeye podcast. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this up and get on with enjoying our Sunday?
we're 3 months away from kickoff, so let's LFG.
Yeah, LFG. Cool. Well, this was fun going through this again. We will not be here next week. I will be in Nashville celebrating a friend's bachelor party. But what do you say? See you here, same time, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Cool. Well, have
Two
a good
weeks.
rest of your
All right.
week. Hope our listeners do as
All right.
well. And this was fun as always.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. I'll talk later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.